Hello, everyone. It's Steve with Aptera Owners Club. Well, I mean, that's Chris Anthony on the screen. This is Steve from Aptera Owners Club. In this video, I wanted to talk a little bit about Aptera and transparency. I kind of want to hear your feedbacks in the comments below. So Aptera has always been a very transparent company in terms of letting us know what they're doing, what their plans are, and kind of giving us even, mostly monthly updates. So this is some video from the January 2024 update. There's probably going to be a February 2024 update. And so they've given us updates almost on a monthly basis. They'll miss a month here and there. But I think for a lot of us who are fans of the company, it's been really fun to feel like we're on the ride with them on this journey together to develop this vehicle that we're all pretty excited about. And getting this transparency has made it fun and makes it a lot of engagement for them. And I think it's kind of a double-edged sword, though, because what they can't do is tell us about the problems that they're having and the unexpected obstacles they have, and invariably they're gonna have those. It's not gonna be smooth sailing, and I imagine that running a startup car company is basically the opposite of smooth sailing. And as a startup company that has no revenue, they are completely dependent on investors to get capital to continue funding the operation. So if you tell people about the problems that you're dealing with, that's gonna lead to investors not wanting to invest in you, I think. So tell me what you guys think. But this is, if you guys have been following Aptera with me for the past 4 years, you know that Aptera tells us things, but usually by the time they tell us things, it's stuff they've been working on for months. Like, they told us about the flip up wheel covers. That was, we found out about that late last year, but that had been in the works for months before that. And then the CPC group. Remember, the original Aptera had that honeycomb sandwich composite structure, and they talked about that for a long time. And then, sort of out of the blue, as far as we're concerned, they had this deal with CPC to make CFSMC parts. And that had been in the works for probably 7 or 8 months by the time we heard about it. And during those 7 or 8 months, they were still talking about the sandwich core composites. So they knew that they were going to do this thing with CPC, but they were still talking about the sandwich core composites. I mean, not directly, but they didn't give us an inkling that they had gone another way. And then, here's a video about the CTNS group. This has obviously been in the works for months, but they told us about it in January. They are making the batteries, and they talked about these deals with Formosa Energy and Eve Energy, and we don't know now if those are still the suppliers or not. I mean, I suspect they are, but who knows? They may have a totally different supply chain for batteries that we're not privy to. And then they recently changed the lamination stack on the solar panels to be glass instead of polymer. And that was in the works for probably 6 to 9 months before we heard about it. They added a radiator at some point. We don't know when, but they always talked about belly cooling, and now belly cooling is kind of an auxiliary thing, and they have an actual radiator in there. They have a metal roll cage. They have a chassis now. For a long time, we thought that the composite structure was the support structure for the vehicle, but now we know that there's an aluminum chassis, and the battery pack is in the chassis, and then the body kind of sits on top of that chassis. And then there was that legal requirement for a center headlight for autocycles. That's something we didn't know about, and they knew about it for months before. They got MagWorks, and they got that all set up. and we found out about it after it was done. So all these things, Naxport, side mirrors, California Energy Commission grants, all these things. So there's all these things we find out about, but we find out about it after the fact when things are kind of settled. So I think that's their strategy. They're going through a lot of decisions and a lot of roadblocks and a lot of barriers as they develop the vehicle. And instead of telling us about all these decisions and options that they're considering, because see, if they told us about all those things, there would be all these things that they considered that they chose not to go down eventually because they led to dead ends or something. And they're not telling us about that. They tell us about stuff 6, 7, 8, 9 months later when the thing is a done deal, when they've come to some kind of resolution. And they don't tell us about the things as it's evolving. And I think it's because they are trying to balance transparency to keep the community engaged with, giving the impression that things are going well and smooth sailing, so that investors still have confidence in them. And I think as a public relations things, you want to project this image that things are always going well, but that's obviously not the case. It can't always go well, and there's always going to be problems and roadblocks, financial problems, engineering problems, regulatory problems, all kinds of problems, and they are navigating those. And once they have navigated them, then they tell us about it. And I know that some people wish that there was even more transparency than they have, and I don't know if that would be a good thing or a bad thing. So that's what I want to hear from you guys in the comments below. Should Aptera be telling people about every problem and like basically giving us a blow by blow account of all the issues that they're dealing with and what options they're considering and which way they're thinking about going and which things they're exploring? Or should they do that on their own and then tell us about it after it's all settled, which is what they've been doing? And I think as part of the community, we don't really, per se have a right to know these things. I mean, I think a lot of us wish that there was like a camera just set up in their headquarters and we could just kind of listen in and watch what they're doing all the time. I bet a lot of us would watch that, honestly. But as investors, like, how much should investors be told about this? And I think obviously other companies don't give investors that kind of information. We don't know what Facebook is doing day to day. We don't know what Google is doing day to day. We have no idea what Nvidia is doing day to day. I think investors in those companies just trust that the company is doing what they should to maximize their profits and deliver good products. And in the end, I think as investors, that's essentially what you have to do. You have to look at the company, see the team that's leading the company, and decide, do I trust them to make good decisions with the money that I'm going to invest in them? And do I believe that they're competent people to navigate all the roadblocks and the problems that they're inevitably going to face? Or do I need to have them tell me on a day-by-day, week-by-week basis all the things that they're doing and the possible solutions that they're thinking about and what they plan on doing with each of those things? So that's a very interesting question, I think. And that is something that I think that they're probably trying to wrap their head around on what they're doing. And if we think about it, I think we understand that although we would like to get as much information from them, there is a downside because it can be kind of information overload. And then there's a lot of people that are kind of in the background. They kind of want Aptera to fail for whatever reason. And they can latch on to any bad news or any second guessing that Aptera has about themselves, or they can second guess all the decisions that Aptera makes in real time as they're making it. And that just makes for a very convoluted, like a very convoluted narrative, you know? So I think that's what Aptera's been doing. And I just kind of realized that that's what they're doing. They're giving us the information months later when everything is settled. And then there's some things I still don't understand why they're not giving us information for. Like, for example, they've definitely gotten some information when they went to the Pininfarina wind tunnel, and they haven't given us that information. And I don't know if it's because, probably the wind tunnel results from the launch edition are going to be different than from Gamma. And I think most reasonable people understand that. And I would have liked to have them like tell us what information they got from that. But with the caveat that it is Gamma, it is not the production vehicle, and I think that would allay some of, at least a little bit, of the criticisms about Aptera's efficiency. Now we know that computerized fluid dynamics is very, very accurate, and I don't have any serious doubts about the wind tunnel tests. But I mean, I don't know why they're not releasing that stuff. However, I do understand why they're giving people information the way that they are. So let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think that the way they've been doing it is the right way to do it? Or should they let us know, or should they let investors know when they've pretty much decided which way they're going? Like, they decided that they were going to go with CPC, I think, months before they told us about it. Should they have told investors that long before? Or should they tell us when, like, everything is 100% a sure thing? All right. Well, I thought that was kind of an interesting thing to think about. And I expect some things from Aptera that we're not expecting at the moment. I expect them to tell us information that we are not expecting in the future, and some problems that they navigated through that we're completely unaware of, and that they've made some choices that we may or may not agree with. But in the end, I think it's their decision, and if you're an investor in them, you have to just decide, do I trust the people that are leading the company to make the right decisions? Or do I want them to tell me everything step by step so that I can decide whether I want to invest or not? Okay, well, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Again, if unless this is unclear to anyone, I am not part of Aptera. I'm not a spokesperson for them at all. Whatever I say does not reflect any of their official thoughts. I'm not employed by them or have any connection to them other than that I'm a big fan. And I am an investor, but again, you should not take investment advice from me. Other than if I were to give you investment advice, I would say that you should not invest any money in a startup that you're not willing to lose completely, because as a startup, statistically you're more likely to lose all your money than you are to make money on the thing. And I think most of the people I've talked to that are investing in Aptera are doing it because they believe in the product, they believe in the company, and they want to help bring this to fruition. Not because they feel like this is like a home run, gonna 100x my money on this thing. So yeah, if you're gonna invest in Aptera, I would say you should invest money that you don't mind losing, and because you believe in the product and you believe in the company. But anyways, this kind of been a long-winded video, but let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I'm really interested to hear what you guys think is the right path forward in terms of how much information a startup company, and Aptera in particular, should give to their community and to their investors. All right. Well, thank you for watching, and thanks for listening to my rambling. Have a great day, everyone.